So, Norm Macdonald in the garage, nervous. How the hell could you be nervous? I mean, do you always get nervous?
I get somewhat nervous about things sometimes, sure.
Yeah?
Like everybody, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, you've done so much, it doesn't go away?
It hasn't with me. I mean, I don't get... God, now I'm stumbling and...
That's all right, man. You know, I'll open like this. I think I have a weird memory of you that you probably wouldn't remember. I think I was in your hotel room. When you were watching, I showed up at your hotel room when you had just done your first Letterman with Caroline Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I actually watched you not watch your first Letterman on television. Is that possible? I'm thinking.
No, I would know I would not watch it. That's for sure.
It was like 1989. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think I'm not
88,
good with dates,
89?
but probably about that. Yeah, that's funny because I know Caroline and I remember you, and I remember Caroline. All my memories are so vague.
Right. Well, it was weird because I barely knew Caroline. You know, we were sort of hanging around, and with this group of comics, and I had a car, and she goes, "Let's go to the hotel. My friend Norm, it just did Letterman tonight." So we go over there, and that was the first time I ever met you, and I don't know how much you even played the States, because it was
I didn't know any comedians from the States. That was my problem. Yeah.
Right. And so I go up to this room, I meet you, and you're about to go on Letterman, and I'm standing there with Caroline, and you were on your bed face down with your hands hiding your eyes for the entire time. Does that sound like a real thing?
No, that would be me. I can't. Well, you know how it is when you know how bad you are, and you know what I mean?
Did you know? I mean, I know that's how we perceive ourselves. I don't know if it's really true. You did well, right?
Well, we probably know more than another person.
No, we don't.
About ourselves? I don't know.
No, but I mean, how can, are you not able to watch yourself now?
No, it's pretty hard. Because I really like comedy. I love comedy, like I guess all comedians do or whatever. But it's always you always think you're better than when you see yourself.
Yeah. In the moment, it feels like you've won,
right.
And then you watch it and you're like, oh, why am I doing that with my eyebrow?
No, it's fuck. No. It's like when you hear your fucking voice. Especially me, because I don't think I sound weird, but then people come up to me and go, "Hey, I can do an impression of you," and guys fucking sounds like a retard. He's like, and I go, "Fuck, man, is that what I sound like?" So it's funny when you have a weird voice, because a lot of times I don't give a fuck why people laugh. I don't give, but I've always been very material dependent in my stand-up. Mm-hmm. I got to work like a motherfucker to get laughs. But people go like, "Oh, you can just talk with your weird voice." I'm like, "No, I can't. Maybe you think that and shit." But I remember when I do, because when I first came to LA and I do auditions, and then I would have the best material of the 10 guys.
Yeah.
I would get the most laughs.
Yeah.
But I would never get hired.
Yeah.
And then I realized why. It's because they want the fuckers that can get laughs without material. I can't do that. That's what you need for a sitcom. Right. If you're have a sitcom going and a guy has some good jokes, well, you can hire him as the writer. Yeah. You want the big fucking guy.
The charismatic guy.
Yeah, with no material at all.
That seems to have an emotional range.
Exactly. When I did my first comedy festival thing, that Montreal thing.
What year was that?
Fuck, I don't know.
Like 87?
Yeah, I don't know dates.
Yeah.
But it was around there. And
how long had you been doing comedy at that point?
6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was Canada, so we got a home
so that was like
court thing.
In American years, that's 4 years.
No, I'm saying because the Montreal Comedy Festival was in Canada, we had a quota to fill. I would never have gotten on it if I was in the States. But so I got my 5 minutes, just wrote. That's the way I used to do comedy. I'd memorize every fucking word. And so I had it all figured out and shit, right? And so then I go there, I meet Sinbad, right? So I didn't know who Sinbad was, and he goes, he's completely relaxed. I'm all thinking about
some sort of one-piece outfit.
He did. His hair matched his shirt.
Yeah,
and they were both orange.
Yeah.
So then he said he was just so relaxed, and he said, "Hey, let's go. I got to get some socks." So we go to this fucking store, right? When we first go into the store, there's no one there. It's a small store. So there's no one there. The lady's in the back.
Yeah.
So the lady takes a minute to come out.
Yeah.
And he's like, where's that lady? You know, there's nobody here, you know? And I'm like, yeah. And so he comes out, he gets his fucking socks. Nothing happens, right? So then that night at the gala, I do my carefully constructed material.
Yeah.
Sinbad comes out. He goes, what the fuck is going on? No, he doesn't swear. He goes, what's going on with these stores with socks? I'm like, holy shit. And then he's like, you go in the store and there's no one there. And then people are agreeing with him. I'm like, what? It didn't make none of it made any sense, except that he destroyed and I didn't. That's when I realized that I was missing a whole bunch of stuff, because I guess at first you think you're good and stuff like that.
No, you are good, and I think that the fact is, really, if you were to look at it in another way, that if people are able to do an impersonation of you, that means you have a defined style. Whereas, like, I guarantee you there's not a lot of people that can do Sinbad, though you did just do a pretty good one.
I was trying to do it as unracist as possible. But no, I think, like, I don't know that much stuff, but I think that with stand-ups, a lot of people, it's hard for a person that creates material. Yeah. Is usually a kind of a sensitive, shy kind of person, at least in my experience.
Yeah,
of
with
people
you?
that I've known.
In your experience with yourself?
Oh yeah, I was always crazy shy and stuff like that. And also very self-conscious. Looking like an idiot. Yeah. So I couldn't go on stage and run around and dance. So when I see guys that can do it, like when I see John Cleese, like this brilliant mind, and then he can do
act like an idiot.
Yeah, that's amazing. And also, of course, Pryor, you know.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's so weird because I'm the exact same way, and I don't think I've talked to anybody on this show that has that same thing, where I am envious of a lot of comics that people would dismiss, you know, only because it's sort of like, well, how do they not feel like be afraid they're going to look like a dick? Like, like as soon as I've ever done anything physical, if I even think about it for a second, I'm like, I'm an asshole, and they don't laugh.
I know, yeah.
Like just recently, I was on Fallon and somehow did an impulsive.
I saw you do the Dane Cook was very funny.
Never done that.
Yeah,
it came out of nowhere. I didn't second guess it, and it fucking worked. But if I would have said, like, for the 5 minutes I was sitting there, like, I'm going to do this Dane Cook thing.
Maybe it's because you were embodying Dane Cook,
right? That I actually had the confidence of Dane Cook.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's why, right?
Yeah,
I was always astonished by, and I'm also like you. I'm envious of people that, because I used to be frozen on stage, where I still don't take the mic out of the stand.
When you did comedy 6 months and you were at the Montreal, what is it? The Canadian scene is so different, because I talked to Russell Peters recently, and there's this weird work ethic that if you're one of the guys up there, you're going to work, and you're going to work for one guy, but you're going to work.
Yeah, it was a great place to start because, first of all, there's no industry in Canada. There's no movies or television.
Isn't there a little? And I think
there might be now, but when I was doing it, there was none.
Because it seems like
horrible.
If you stay there long enough and you don't leave, that you will be given a television show of some kind for a certain amount of time.
It's awful. They're awful. You know, everything about Canada sucks.
Really?
In terms of
entertainment?
Yeah. Like all the entertainers leave, and most of them don't want to go. Most of them are mad because they weren't recognized in Canada, you know. They had to come to the States. But so we didn't have movies or TV to do. Yeah. And so we just did stand up, and we thought that's all there was just going, which was fun, like just being stand ups and going around the country doing stand up. And then when I got to LA, I was like, holy fuck, everybody's handsome. Like because we weren't handsome. We were just
well, comics weren't supposed to be handsome. No. Louis C.K. once said that to me, like, furious at some point when Jay Moore first started doing comedy, like right when Jay Moore showed up on the scene. And this is not meant to piss off Jay Moore in any way. You know, Louis was aggravated because he's like, it wasn't for that. He's good looking. You know, I just want to do Letterman before I'm fat and bald.
No, it is very true. Handsome. I used to really have problems with handsome people, like Friends, you know, it would bother me so much. I watched Friends and then I said, fuck, these are the funniest, super handsome people ever. I'll give that to them, you know what I mean?
Who were your guys?
It's probably harder if you're so fucking handsome.
Well, yeah, because people expect you to have your shit together. So I think that's the hardest sell for handsome people. It's like, my life is fucked up. It's like, look at you. How is that possible, you fuck? Really, is your life bad? You've got all your hair, asshole. Hard to be a sympathetic character when you're really attractive.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. When you started out, though, who were your guys? Like, who were the guys you hung out with? Are they still around? Do you still keep in touch with them?
In Canada, they're like the guys that were big. You know, most people. Canada's like. It's the same with every fucking goddamn city I go to. Everybody's like, "This is the fucking best comedy city," and all that horse shit. Yeah. And I remember I'd be on the road, wherever the fuck you were. You know, you'd be in Dallas or something. Go, oh man, these are the funniest guys ever. Wait till you. And there was always I remember
the one mythic guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go fucking Kenny, that guy, the funniest guy ever. But he's a heroin addict.
Yeah. If he wakes up, he's hilarious.
And then he would shamble in on Saturday night. Say something about AIDS or something. You go, what the fuck? He doesn't seem that funny. I guess he's funny if you know him.
Oh, that's hilarious. The local hero that could never get out.
Exactly.
And then, like, whenever they're past that prime of whatever made them popular in that small scene, then they finally go, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to L.A. And these broken men. It's like, no, he used to be the guy.
But he wasn't really the guy. I met Rodney Dangerfield because do you remember the book? I think it was The Last Laugh or something about Lenny.
Yeah.
There was a secondary I wish I could remember his name. Joe something. There was a character.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Ansis. Joe Ansis.
Joe Ansis.
Yeah.
So I read that book. It was like the Bible.
The Lenny Bruce biography by Albert Goldman.
By Goldman.
Lenny, yeah.
And so Ansis was the funny guy.
Right.
That never went on stage.
That's right.
The bbrilliant funny guy.
Right. And they all,
I met him.
You did?
With Dangerfield.
You did.
Dangerfield came and did Saturday Night Live, and Joe Ansis was with him. I was like, fuck, Joe Ansis.
Yeah.
And then I waited about 2 hours for him to say anything funny. And I was like, I don't know, maybe he just fucking got drugs for them or something.
Or maybe it just took longer back then. Maybe it wasn't so about laugh efficiency.
Well, yeah. And maybe also he was stuck in that time. Maybe Lenny Bruce, like, if he were right here now, would not be very funny.
But I think that book, Goldman probably exploited that because, like, in my mind, behind every genius, there's some dude going, that fucker stole my shit.
Yes. Definitely.
And usually there's a reason, well, then why didn't you get on stage? It's like, I don't do that.
Yeah,
Then shut up.
And also the authors don't know shit.
Yeah.
Like, every time they do a fucking article, they come to you. I'm sure they've done articles on you, and then you try to tell them, like, what's the real story.
Yeah.
And they still fucking write what they want, like what they had already seen it.
They take it out of context. They frame it the way they want it. Have you had a lot of experience with that?
A little bit. Like, people, there was a time, when I was on Saturday Night Live, everyone hated it,
When you were doing Update?
Yeah, they hated Sandler and Farley.
You mean critics?
Critics, yeah. So, it was everybody was, oh, it's dead, Saturday Night Dead and all that shit. And so, they came, and the guy had an agenda, obviously. And, but he was very unfair. Like, Sandler was very, very funny, and was funnier than Farley. And, then he presented it as if these guys were always doing shtick and everyone was looking away embarrassed and everything like that. And I remember him laughing.
Yeah.
So it was very frustrating.
Did you fucking?
And they made Farley. I'll never forget. It was on cover of New York Magazine, and they had Farley do a photo shoot where he had a television on his head.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny. But Farley's doing a big, crazy physical thing with this big TV on his head, and then they put it on the cover and they said, "Is comedy dead?"
And how did he respond to that?
He wanted to go beat up the guy, and Lawrence said,
"Oh, really?
You can't beat up people.
You can't beat up the reporter."
Yeah.
But he was really that angry?
He was more angry because they not for him, but because they attacked Sandler. Actually, he was very protective.
Well, that whole crew, you were part of that crew. They seem tighter than most SNL crews, like Farley, Sandler, Spade, you. Like you guys seem like a real kind of Rat Pack of comedic.
Well, we were
talent.
pretty tight because except for Farley, we were all stand-ups. Mm-hmm. So we kind of we didn't know how to fuck to act or anything. And like before us,
was Chris there too or no?
Chris,
Rock.
Oh, Rock was there too. Yeah. So
you're all sitting around going, "Well, I don't know how to do a character."
Yeah, we didn't know anything. So all we knew is how to directly talk into the camera.
Right.
I mean, that's the only good thing we were good at. And but the rest of it was real tough. And so I would plead with people not to put me in sketches, because sometimes I would think of a good idea and write the sketch and knew I could do it, but I was so. But anyways, the point is, like before us, there was this great cast, and even now there's this great cast of actors,
right?
Which probably should be what Saturday Night Live is, not stand-up.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think all acting should probably preclude stand-ups for the most part. But now they know how to talk to each other, shit like that. Me and Spade and fuck, what we didn't know.
I just can't remember. I can't imagine the cynicism approaching a sketch.
Exactly.
with you guys.
No, that's what we'd mostly do is we'd spend the first half of the night writing the sketch and the second half of the night crumpling it up, saying how shit it was. Because this is another thing that I noticed coming from stand-up into, because I was never had any desire to be anything other than a stand-up. Everything else would just accidentally happen from stand-up, you know. But for some reason in Hollywood, they go, oh, I guess because of Bill Cosby or Roseanne Barr or some people who've had success in stand-up, they go, well, he can do other stuff.
Let's build a show around him. Yeah, he can do anything.
Which is not an experiment.
Give him some children. Throw him in a living room.
Not an experiment that's worked.
Well, was that part of Lauren's thing? Wasn't that the season where he's like, let's use stand-ups? You know, it's sort of like that scene in The Right Stuff where he's like, I want test pilots. I want stand-up comedians. And what was the struggle? Like, how often did you deal with Lauren around that stuff?
Well, the great thing about Lauren is you could do anything you wanted. He would tell you wise things, like wisdom or whatever.
He's like a little Buddha guy, right?
Yes, yeah.
Did it ever make sense, or
not to me?
You'd always walk away going, "What the fuck?"
To other people, it did. Like I remember one time he wanted me. Like this was actually with Weekend Update. They wanted me to do Weekend Update with a lady.
Yeah,
like two of us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that sounds like shit. I don't want to that sounds like shit. I'm like, if there's a lady and a dude, like, what are we making fun of local news? What the fuck is that? He's like, no. He's like, he had some crazy, he goes like, I think he liked me because I didn't understand what he was talking about all the time. And he goes like, you'll be Fred Astaire and she'll be Ginger. You'll give her the sex, a comedy, and she'll give you the sex. And I was like, the dancers? What? And I didn't know what he was fucking talking about. Yeah. So anyways, I go, I don't want to fucking do it with a lady. Let Franken do it.
Yeah.
So,
Franken was going to do it?
Yeah, it was Franken, me, or somebody else. So, I didn't care that much about it. So, cause I could just do stand up. But anyways, what happened was funny. Like Steve Martin walked in cause he was hosting.
Yeah.
And Lauren, to embarrass me, went, let's see what Steve thinks about it. And Steve Martin doesn't give a fuck about anything. So, but he goes, Norm wants to with the lady, and what he thinks. And he does this big long spiel, and Steve Martin's completely uninterested.
Been dragged into something he wanted no part of.
But luckily, he fucking just said out of the blue, he goes, oh, fuck. He goes, I did this award show with some broad, and they paired me up with her, and she fucked everything up. Like, I guess they stuck him or something. Yeah. So then Lauren goes, oh, there's some support from an unexpected place.
And that's how you got the solo update?
Yeah, Steve Martin, because he was such a hero to Lauren.
You had a bad experience with an award show, and you get to run the solo on the update?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was a fucking good moment.
But I would have been in big trouble with a lady. But then later they did it with a lady and a dude. Because he kept saying, oh, remember, because I know Saturday Night Live, like all of us, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, remember Jane and Dan? And I was like, that was shit. Like, I remember Jane, you ignorant slut.
Right.
But I also remember all the rest of the fucking shit. Like, he had a hat on and pretended to be from they played characters.
Yeah.
And I was not interested in that because Dennis kind of changed it to Dennis Miller
where you do jokes.
And you're not doing a parody of a fucking
what was the reaction to you when you first took Update? Because I remember, and you definitely made it your own because you're one of those guys, as you're sort of establishing here, that you can only do what you do.
Yeah, I can't do. Well, I can't. The big problem, I guess, with me with Update is I'm not politically aware of at all. So I was like, well, I can't be political.
Right.
I can't. I don't know how to do it.
But it was interesting though because your Update and the way you do comedy, it rides that line of like you're almost like the thing that makes it so cutting and shocking is it's so fucking plainly said that this is what bullshit is.
Nice.
No, but it's a good thing.
Well, it was my plan. I mean,
to cut through the bullshit.
Yeah, I thought, because I don't like cleverness that much. Like, I always was, again...
What's an example of that?
Like sexual innuendo, rather than sexual, like, you know what I mean? I don't like that my mother can giggle at some joke on Will and Grace, and then I can say to her, no, you know what that means, right? He's talking about fucking the other guy in the ass, and then she's like, oh, no! I'm like, it's the same fucking thing. Why can't you just fucking...
Why can't they just say he's going to fuck him in the ass? Yeah. And you get the same laugh?
Isn't it something cowardly about, like, cloaking it or something? Like, I don't know psychological shit, but it must be some level of dissociating yourself slightly from what you actually mean.
From the truth. Like like innuendo protects you from seeing the reality and enables you to laugh at it.
Yeah. But why need... Good God, in these days, why would you need innuendo? Like, to me, I'm shocked that anyone thinks you could be shocked by anything.
I find that now the only thing that's shocking is when someone tells the fucking truth. And then people are like, what just happened?
Right.
That guy can't come back.
Like an update, I was always saying, I always thought, I said the perfect joke would be if the punchline and the setup were almost identical. Yeah. And then I was saying, can we ever get a joke like that? That would be the coolest. And then we actually did get one joke that was pretty close to that. Not perfect, but it was Lyle Lovett and Julia Roberts are getting a divorce. And, people close to the couple say the reason is because he's Lyle Lovett and she's Julie Roberts. So it was pretty close. The setup and the punchline were pretty close to each other. I was happy with that one.
That was the grail?
Yeah, that was the grail. I don't know if we've completely got it. But
when that YouTube thing that was going around, I think it was, were you at where was that where you did the old jokes at the roast?
Oh, yeah, that was a roast, yeah.
Yeah, what was your agenda behind that? I mean, what were you thinking? Because it got very popular, and everyone thought it was so fucking. It was like
they put it was like
genius.
It wasn't genius.
No, it wasn't that it wasn't genius. But I just want to know why you did it.
Well, the real reason it was because it was a roast for Bob Saget,
right?
Who's a friend of mine.
Yeah,
and I guess I don't like roasts.
Yeah,
I mean, I shouldn't say that. I guess I admire. I don't really admire.
It's a certain style.
It's a certain style. I've come to accept things.
Yeah,
but Saget said, "Can you come and roast me?" And Saget's like a really nice guy. And I said, "Fuck, no, I don't know, man." He goes, "Come on, I don't know why he kept pushing it."
Yeah.
So I'm like, it was the night before, and so this guy Sandy Gallen, who was produces these roasts and stuff.
Yeah.
Or Joel Gallen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know his name. I only did one, and that was all I could take.
Yeah, it's tough. And so I said, I don't know how to do this stuff. He goes, just be shocking. And so luckily when he said shocking, I thought, oh, well, if I do the opposite, it's, like I've heard people go, I got it. I go, well, what the fuck is to get?
Yeah.
Like it's a grade 3 arithmetic.
Yeah.
It's not a simple, it's not a.
So your choice was just to be like, I'm going to do these old, beautiful jokes.
Yeah.
Just to counteract all the bullshit of the roast.
There was jokes that my dad had, when I was a kid, my dad, when I was starting comedy, he gave me a book. It was very touching. He gave me a book that he had of jokes you say to people at their retirement parties.
Oh, really?
To help me with my stand-up. So it was very touching. It was close to...
Like one of those 101 jokes kind of thing?
Yeah. So that's where I got the jokes. And a lot of them were like so antiquated. Like there was one where I said to Gilbert Gottfried, like, you remind me of a typewriter because your head is under wood or your neck is under wood or something. It was just so silly.
And they were all hilarious. Everyone was laughing their ass off.
No, they weren't. When you're standing up there, first of all, you can't, how when you're on stage, you can't see the whole audience. You can just see those.
Well, where did you do it? Because when I did it, there must have been 2,000 fucking people. In this Hilton ballroom. It was horrendous.
Yeah, it takes forever.
Yeah.
But because of all I could see was the angry eyes of Alan Thicke at the first table. Just like being angry. It was kind of shocking to me because I was like, what was weird about that? Is that people fucking literally thought I was crazy. I was like, I understand if you didn't like it. I might not even like it. I don't know if I would even like that kind of shit. I could go, that's self-indulgent bullshit. But to actually fucking think I'm like serious,
Yeah.
I mean,
like that. Well, people love to do that. I mean, did you watch the Charlie Sheen one?
Yes. And I tell you what sorry.
Well, what do you like? I mean, because like a lot of people were saying that was just there's no line whatsoever, and that it is something other than just being funny, and that it's gotten kind of just brutal and painful to watch.
Right. Well, yeah, like, cause, when we get interviewed as comics, like, people always go like, is there any line? And we go, no, but there's lines. Of course, there's fucking lines,
Yeah.
You're a human being,
well,
hopefully. But I remember they were talking about William Shatner roast. Artie told me this, that William Shatner's fucking wife had just drowned in a pool 3 months earlier, and they had to get all the comics together and go, look, no jokes about his wife drowning. And they were all like, fuck.
Yeah, what are we going to do now?
And I was like, would it even occur to you to fucking do that joke?
The guy's still wearing a black ribbon and his clothing is torn.
I love Patrice on that, though. because I love Patrice.
Yeah, he's great.
And he did it. I never saw a guy that did the roast so good. Because he didn't do all that.
Well, I mean, that line is interesting because it's really a personal line. I mean, when you're a comic, you know when you've crossed the line. I mean, that's really the line. Is like, what can you get away with?
Well, I guess the line's up to you as to whether you want to. When I was on SNL, you start to read an update. You start to read newspaper articles and forget that they're people. You know,
right?
And I had a hellish thing with this private citizen. I never did a joke again about a private citizen after that. But someone had been hit on the Brooklyn Bridge, and the story was funny because their liver was over here and then their spinal column was over here. It was all spread across the bridge.
Right. What was the joke?
The joke was he's recuperating in the hospital and he's fine, you know. But it was so absurd because he'd been spared by. Anyways, then I get a phone call and I go, "Oh fuck, that was a real person's
friend or father."
Just phoned me, and I'm like, you know, their fucking husband got torn apart on the Brooklyn Bridge, and then they turned on the TV. I'm like, hey, hey, what's going on?
They turn on the TV to get their mind off of things.
I know. So you know, you understand after a while, and even with politicians, like they're still human beings. And,
barely, but they're the worst kind of fucking people in the world.
That's
all of them.
I agree. I'm glad to hear you say that because everybody thinks you're all leftist and everything.
Well, I mean, you know, I definitely land on the lefty side of things on, you know, ideological terms, but I found that from doing political talk radio, just, you know, being, you know, carrying water for any of them, you just got to realize the quality of people you're dealing with. You're dealing with fucking corporate whores who are operated by business interests. So, you know, really it's going to come down to, you know, however you view politics, the question is, do you give a shit about poor people? And and are we being taken advantage of?
Right.
Now, if people want to frame that as, you know, Obama's a communist and draining us of our livelihood, well, that's your particular delusion, and that's fine. I mean, but I just got disillusioned with all of it because these are not quality people. I mean, I did a joke about Michelle Bachmann on Real Time.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I was getting flack from this, you know, a very small portion of the right, you know, that they were like, he's a misogynist. I'm like, she's a fucking pig. She's a fucking politician. Can you name me two politicians that command any respect whatsoever? Why do we respect these people? These people are car salesmen. They're idiots. They're more disingenuous than anybody as performers, and they basically figured out a way to bait and placate morons into, you know, voting against their self-interest. That's an amazing skill, but is it respectable? I don't know. Do you respect a guy that sells you, you know, horse shit in the guise of a health supplement?
I agree with you. I mean, I think politicians are terrible. I mean, people attack evangelists, but at least evangelists offer something.
Right. Well, they after the immediate relief of someone's you know, pain and aggravation with another line of bullshit. But nonetheless, I mean, they're pretty evil too.
Well,
I mean, you know, with politics, it's like. Yeah, I don't like to get into it that much anymore.
Yeah, let's not get into this shit, man.
Okay, buddy.
Because it's getting. I can see people not laughing now.
No, I mean, but you know, laughter. But you know, I know that you've gotten into a little bit of flack around it. But you're
flack around what?
Around politics.
What do you mean?
Well, just say, you know, you've said things that people have reacted to, but you're not like a political comic.
I'm not political. I've only said things on purpose to provoke people.
Right.
Once in a while.
You like doing that, though.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
But I've never. But I've never. Because I don't know enough. And because I don't respect political humor when it's nothing but gossip.
Yeah, and mostly comics and people like us, you know, people who are obviously First Amendment warriors to a certain degree. We like living the way we want to live. So it's really just going to come down to money. It's like, you know, how do I keep my money? I mean, that's the biggest political question that most righties ask themselves. It's like, I'd like to keep as much of my money as possible. And if that's in a minority opinion, how do we get this majority of poor people to get me to keep my money and believe that they're doing the right thing?
Yeah, it's a tough fucking thing because apparently I read this, if all the money in the world was equally divided among everybody would be dead fucking poor.
Yeah. You know, there's these moments where, like, I don't talk about as much as I used to, but then there's moments where you're like, there's a moment that I was on a fucking radio show the other day, And this was an interesting thing because it's about professionalism. I don't do political talk radio. I've got my political views, and they're fairly general. I'm not trying to support any politician, but I have the way I think about things. But there are politicians that represent the opposite of what I think. So I'm on this talk show with a guy, it's a Fox affiliate, but I'm there to plug my comedy and talk about my podcast and be funny with this dude who's a talk show host. He's a radio professional. He runs an entertainment show for the most part, but he's been dying to talk to Rand Paul about the bridge situation because I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. He's the fucking senator. They got bridges falling down, and he's been trying to get this guy on the show. And the guy he calls in when I'm there. So like now I've got, like, if I was doing political talk radio, I mean, it would have been like, what the fuck are you thinking? You and your libertarian bullshit, and how are we going to pay for this? Like, I would have jumped in and done that. But there was this moment where it's like, I just done a segment with this radio professional. He was like, God, it's great to talk to a guy who knows how to be on radio. We're having a good time. Hold on, the senator's on the phone. And I got to sit there and go, oh, do I do this? Would it be worth it to sabotage this for some lefty, credibility? And then I realized, like, dude, he's a radio guy, you're a comedian, you're having a good conversation, he's trying to talk to this guy about a local problem, just shut the fuck up and let him do his job, and then when you come back, get back to what you were talking about. And I chose to do that, but I did walk out saying, like, you pussy, you had such an opportunity there.
I was on Politically Incorrect a couple of times, and fuck, man, you have to have an opinion about every goddamn thing on that show. So,
or you can just do a little homework and write some jokes.
Yeah, but sometimes I remember at the break, like, Scott Carter go, enough with the jokes. But I'll never forget, like, I'm very unlearned, and so before the show, Scott came in, who was the
producer. Yeah, he's been on the show. Yeah.
So he said, "What do you think about China and Taiwan?" And seriously, I only know those as words, So I was like, I don't know anything. Like, can't I have another subject? So, anyways, then we get out because he goes, because Bill believes this. I mean, anyways, when we get out, we're introducing the guy beside me, the smart guy, right? He wrote a book on China and Taiwan.
Right.
So fucking Bill Maher, he starts with me. He goes like, what was it, China and Taiwan? I go, I don't know. Fucking ask this guy. What do I know? I'm a nightclub comic. What? Like, that's what made me laugh at that show. Everyone's opinion's equal.
Right.
Right. Like a nightclub comic and an expert. And then another thing I always found funny about that show is the comedians try to be very serious, and then the serious guys are trying to get jokes.
Yeah. So
it's like...
it's not always our shining moment.
I do like Bill, though.
No, Bill's great at what he does.
Yeah.
Like, he started out a straight up joke dude, and he knows his shit. And it's pretty amazing.
What's funny about him? I don't know if I should say this or not, but I mean, he's probably aware of it. When he does his monologue, have you noticed when he does his monologue, he does Johnny Carson?
No, no, definitely. He definitely models himself. I think that's been his style for a long time. He definitely takes the posture.
But I find it very funny because he's got the posture and the timing and everything, and he's like, and then she came in his face, but it's crazy words come out.
Carson would have loved to have done that.
Yeah, he probably would have.
So when you grew up, I mean, what was the story in terms of, you say your dad gave you a joke book, but were you got along with your folks and everything?
Oh yeah. When I was very young, I was very, very, very shy and very afraid of everything. I mean, people say they're shy when they're kids, but I was like, it was a pathology.
Aren't you still afraid of everything? I am. I mean, I try to hide it and deal with it, but on a day-to-day basis, no,
I'm not afraid of everything. I'm afraid of very few things.
Like what?
Illness, death.
Yeah. How'd you get peace of mind out of the other shit?
Well, when I was this is a weird thing that happened to me when I was young.
Yeah.
I don't know if this means anything.
Let's try it.
I remember it, but it was a moment I had that was, it wasn't religious or epinaphic or anything, but it transformed me to some degree, is that I was fucking so afraid of everything. And if I went to a store, I'd have to walk around forever before I could even face a person in the store to buy a pack of gum. I don't know why the fuck I was like this.
Yeah.
But anyways, when I was 9, there was we lived in rural Ontario, and there was a blind friend of my dad's that I had to, he said, take him to the store. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I have to take this blind fucker? And I'm already shy and shit. So I'm taking him to the store, and then the fucker wants me to explain everything, describe everything. to him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's some grass over here, and now there's a lamppost, and this guy's all happy. Oh, what about the lamppost? I mean, it's just a lamppost.
Yeah.
So it goes on and on, but something happened to me during, it sounds bizarre, but something happened to me where I was actually, instead of always looking inward, which I think I'd always done before that one time, I was looking outward. Anyways, while I was talking to him, I suddenly had a sort of a hysteria, like I was laughing. I started laughing and stuff. And I don't even know why I'm remembering this, but I started laughing about everything. And everything seemed like very, very funny to me. And then a couple of weeks later, I saw a homeless guy, and he was talking about, he started talking to me.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me about John D. Rockefeller. He's like, I was at John D. Rockefeller's funeral.
Yeah.
And all this shit.
Yeah.
And I was laughing at him and shit. And then he started laughing. And I was like, it's all fucking crazy shit. Like, something came to me.
Yeah.
Where I started, and so now I find everything funny except like fucking real serious. Like, I'm no fear of going on stage or anything, but death and shit.
Right.
And so, but the other thing but the problem with laughing is I will get, it will build to a hysteria sometimes that I have to, crank a couple of benzos to prevent a panic attack.
Really?
Yeah, I can get
You
panic
can laugh
attacks.
yourself into an anxiety attack?
Absolutely, yeah. I start laughing and then it gets out of control, like hysterical. It's and I still have extreme sensitivity to things. Like I can not to life things, but to like literature or art or something like that. I have incredible sensitivity. I kind of have to stay away from it.
Like, what's an example? Like a painting or a...
Yeah, fucking paintings. Like, I don't know anything about art, nothing at all.
Really?
But I have had fucking experiences that have been so hard on me. Like, one time I was in New York and somebody dragged me to a fucking art museum, which I hate art.
Yeah.
And I was looking at this picture, this girl, and I was like falling in love with her. She was so fucking beautiful, this fucking girl in this fucking picture.
Yeah.
And then a guide was telling me the fucking thing was written, drawn in the 16th century. Obviously, this lady was dead, long dead.
Yeah.
And here I am fucking in love with her.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, fuck it. I was like so hard on me for so many days. So I try not to. It sounds crazy, right?
Not really.
But I can be very...
it sounds like that's a very good painting.
It was an incredible painting. But like, it would make me cry. I didn't cry at my dad's funeral, though. Like, real life stuff seems so prosaic to me that it never really touches me much.
So you have a sensitivity towards... Well, I mean, that's what art's supposed to do on some level.
I guess for people like me that can't access feelings or something, it gets me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get that with I can get that with television commercials sometimes if I'm not protecting myself.
Oh, you mean like where they really could manipulate?
Well, yeah,
you?
Well, you jerk me around, but like I remember there was
I can be manipulated without and know I'm being manipulated.
Yeah. Like some movies, I'll just let it go.
Yeah, I know.
But like, if my girlfriend's afraid of something or needs some help, I'm like, I don't know what to. This is crazy. I mean, maybe you should call a friend. I can't.
Maybe it's because we live in fantasy lives or something.
I guess. I remember a kid when I was in grade school, we read Old Yeller. And the dog gets, then they got to put the dog down, right?
That's a motherfucker.
Yeah, and this kid, Jeff, was just like, sobbing uncontrollably as he read out loud. And they had to take him to the nurse because he couldn't pull it together.
Oh, my God.
So that's...
they call it Stendhal syndrome.
So is there a name for it?
Well, there was this guy, Augustine Stendhal or something, some 16th century guy, but he had an art museum that was so beautiful. I don't know if it's anecdotal, but he was at an art museum where people would come in and have nervous breakdowns from the beauty of the art.
But that can go either way with you. It can be laughter or sadness.
Yeah, it's mostly laughter. The sadness doesn't throw me into anxiety. The laughter.
What's the feeling though? Like at a joke, or you're with friends or something, and you can't get it out of your head how funny it is, and then you get anxious because you can't stop laughing.
I guess it's that. Like, I laugh a lot. Like
that's fucking great as a comic.
Yeah, I tell you, I've never trusted people that don't laugh. Like, I've worked on shows and, shit sitcoms and stuff like that where the motherfucker doesn't laugh.
Yeah.
He's the head writer.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not laughing at nothing?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It's all math to him.
Yeah, it's math. It's like haiku or some shit. And like but the best guys I've met are the guys that are able to laugh and fucking,
So what, so when you grew up, what'd your folks do?
Well, my dad, we were like real poor and stuff, but later my dad became like a teacher, so we had a little bit of money. But
yeah.
We lived like on a rural, like,
with animals?
Farm. It was a dead farm.
Yeah.
It was my father's farm, but that by this point it had become dead. But it was interesting because everyone was old where I lived, except me and my brothers. So I was with old men all the time.
Yeah.
But I liked them a lot.
Yeah.
I really liked them.
Do you still like old people?
Love them. I love super old people because it's like it helps you with perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like there's a thing. Like I love country songs and shit, but there's this myth about the old guy that never forgot about the girl and he's drinking and shit. That's not true. Like when you meet old people, you know what I mean? You go, "Hey, you were heartbroken?" They go, "Oh, what?" You know, they don't care.
I don't even remember her.
Yeah, it's all like comedy to them. They go, "Yeah, there was."
Yeah. I shit this morning. Everything's good.
Exactly right. They have incredible perspective. And then I was thinking, if you could only get that perspective instantly, just pretend you're a fucking old man and forget it instantly.
Well, it's so funny that so many young people dismiss old people as burdens, or like, you know, no one dies in the house anymore. Everybody's put out to pasture somewhere.
Yeah.
And like I have to fight sometimes when I see really old people. I get this visceral kind of like, oh God, are they okay?
Oh, that they might die.
That they might die, or that like, you know, like I'm gonna be that. Like if I'm lucky, I get to be the guy that might make it across the street. You know, that's a big payoff, and like it fucking throws my mortality in my head.
I understand that.
Yeah, but
I don't like. I mean, I'm not saying I like infirm people or being at deathbeds.
No, right? No, I know what you mean. But like, if you like when you talk to old people that they've lived through things, they have a perspective and a wisdom from actually living life.
Yeah,
and like you don't learn a lot from an old agoraphobic. Where it's like
I remember what's his name? Rodney Dangerfield said a great thing to me that I mean he came to do a Saturday Night Live.
Remind me to show you this picture I have of him.
Of Rodney?
Yeah.
And I'd never met Rodney.
Yeah.
So he came to do a Saturday. Well, there's two things that are very funny. One is when we were booking Rodney, like Lauren said, "Oh, Rodney's going to be in town. Put him on Update." He'd always do that.
Yeah.
We'd have to somehow force this person on Update, and we wouldn't know what to do.
But you had respect for him?
Oh, I loved Rodney. Yeah, I loved Rodney. So Jim Downey, who was a great writer and Harvard, a true intellectual and stuff.
Yeah.
And he, so he's like, "How are we going to do Rodney?" And then so he had an idea where I would go, "Rodney, you know, you've been in the business now 50 years, and how's it going?" He goes, "I got no respect at all." You know, they do a couple of jokes. I go, "I can't believe that. What about certainly your children have respect for you?" He goes, "I don't respect." "Well, what about your bartender?" You know what I mean? And he'd say, "Oh, my bartender, the guy was said double. He brought out a guy who looked like me." I can't believe this. Your own bartender?
Yeah.
So that was my. We pitch it to Rodney. Daddy pitches to Rodney over the phone, and Rodney goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He goes, "Let me talk to Norm, you know." So then he gets on with me. He goes, "Who is this fucking guy?" He goes, "Doesn't he know my whole thing is no respect? This fucking cocksucker thinks you know." So then I told Downey, he said, "Yeah, like Rodney just thinks of a writer as a guy you paid $5 to in the back."
Right.
But anyways, Rodney came to the show, and we have dress rehearsal and then the show. So he's like, "Why do we have to fucking do dress rehearsal?" He goes, "I can't do Rodney."
Yeah.
Why do we have to do dress rehearsal? You know, I know my fucking jokes. I just go out. I go, I don't know, Rodney. Like, I don't, you just have to do it. And he goes, fuck, it's shit. You know, he goes, "I tell you, kid," he goes, "it's all waiting." You know, he goes, "Fuck it." He goes, "Movies are shit. You know, all you do is fucking sit in a trailer and wait." He goes, "Fucking TV is shit." He goes, "It's all shit." You know, he goes, "Always remember this." And he like looks me in the eye, right? He goes, "Stand up, man. Stand up's the only thing."
Yeah.
Then there's like a 2-minute pause. He goes, "Stand up's fucking shit." So I'm just alone in a room with him. So I shake his hand.
He negated the entire world.
Oh, the funniest thing was Josh. Josh was with us.
Yeah.
Was an intern at Saturday Night Live. So I guess I have a bit of cruelty sometimes in me. But Josh would always tell this joke to me, and I got him to tell this joke to everybody because I thought it was funny.
Yeah. And
he'd say, Josh, this is how he talks. He's right here. But, he would go, "There's two gay guys, and one of the gay guys goes to the other gay guy, 'I have a new game for you, hide and seek. I'll hide, you try to find me, And if you find me, you get to fuck my ass. I'll be behind the couch. That was this retarded joke and shit. So I'd make him tell everyone.
Yeah.
So then do you remember I made you tell Rodney?
Yeah.
So it was the greatest moment. Fucking Rodney were stuck in this real narrow hallways.
Yeah.
Rodney, is standing there all curmudgeonly.
And he's like twitching, like moving around,
exactly.
kind of rocking.
It's like, you got to hear this joke. And so then Josh stumbles through the joke, and at the end, Rodney looks at it and he goes, "I tell you, kid, I'm not much for jokes." I love it. Got most of our jokes in the history of ever.
Well, yeah, I remember the weird thing about Rodney. Like, I never really met him, but I was.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
How'd you not meet him?
Well, I mean, because I wasn't an established comic, really, and I worked the door at the store, and he came on once. Yeah. And I used to see him around a bit, but what broke my heart was this weird. They did this roast of him, or a tribute at the Aspen Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
And then the dudes that they got on, it was like Paul Rodriguez, I think Saget was there, and there were like 3 or 4 other guys. And I had this weird moment where I realized that he was sort of a marginal character within his own generation of comics.
Right.
Like he was so depressed and miserable.
Truly, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I just had this moment where I realized, oh my God, he's like a lone wolf. Like he's got, his peers aren't even, they couldn't get anyone else to fly in and show some fucking love.
I never thought of that. Right. Like the older guys.
Right. We're the dudes of his generation. Then you start to realize you never see him on the roast or anything, that he must have been this lone fucking wolf out there just with his own misery.
Yeah.
And that thing Carl LeBeau said was, that's the best thing I ever heard was, I had LeBeau in here, and Rodney, took a liking to Kennison, and
Sure.
LeBeau was, Sam's best friend. And, I remember Rodney used to call Kennison this is before he was on medication, because I think the last decade of his life he was medicated, and I think he had some peace. But apparently he, Kennison had been up for 2 days and, was doing the Kennison thing and just sitting there. And Rodney walked in and said, "Oh, look at little Nero."
Yeah,
He's fucking
He just
sharp,
seen it
dude.
all. He just seen it all. I remember, I'm always amazed at guys. It's not, I don't know if it's admirable or not, but, cause I quit drugs when I was 10 or some fucking thing. I got scared immediately. This guy.
What drug did you do that,
no, I'm exaggerating, but
Yeah.
when I was very, very young, I got very frightened very quickly. And, but I'm always like, holy, with those old guys, I go, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like how many, you went through all those, coke, where you think you're going to die and shit, and you're still doing it?
Yeah.
It was always amazing.
With him, he had a hell of a constitution to put himself through that.
I remember Saget told me one time, remember when he had a heart attack and a brain fucking aneurysm at the same time or something. He was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And he just left,
Pulled the thing out.
Yeah,
And
he just fucking went to the comedy club. So Saget said he walked in. This was 2 days earlier. He had been in this major operation, and he said he saw Rodney with 2 hookers, and Rodney was waiting for Ron Jeremy to show up. This was 2 days after
and he's 70.
And he's 70. So then Saget said to him, he said, Rodney, he goes, how are you doing? And Rodney said to him, "How am I doing?" He goes, I'm with 2 whores. I'm waiting for a guy who can suck his own dick. How you doing?
What a fucking classic, man.
I know, man. That guy.
One of a fucking kind.
Like when I think of, because everybody always, asks you who the best comics are and everything, and of course your mind always goes to Pryor and those guys. But you always forget about Rodney.
Well, yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was reading the My Favorite Jokes section of the Parade magazine. It used to come in the Sunday supplement, and they used to have this last page. It was just comedians' jokes. And I remember reading his, and I still remember, some of those jokes. What was it, like the one that I never, for some reason sticks out in my mind? He's like, "I get no respect. I woke up this morning, I got out of bed, I put my hand on the bathroom door, the knob fell off. I picked up, I put on the faucet handle fell off. I gotta tell you, I was afraid to go to the bathroom." I mean, you know where it's gonna go, but reading that stuff and realizing that people actually wrote those jokes, and for a guy like that does
I think
jokes.
he wrote them, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that I think that he had people would give him jokes.
Right,
I mean, what a vessel.
It's like, when these guys get famous, then every joke is attributed. Like Groucho Marx. I'm sure fucking.
Yeah, that happens all the time though. Did you have that feeling?
Or Yogi Berra, like every retarded thing everyone ever says, they just say it was Yogi Berra.
Well, there used to be something that bothered me about this idea that even there's a blind side to even very intelligent people when they watch, Stewart or Bill Maher or anybody on TV, Dennis Miller. They're like, it's amazing all his jokes. How does he write all his jokes? It's like he doesn't.
Of course not.
And there was some part of me when the writer's strike hit where I'm like, I felt like now they're going to know. The cat's out of the bag. Right. Who's going to write their own jokes now? I don't know what
that would be interesting to just have the guys write their own stuff.
Well, I think a lot of them can, and I don't begrudge anyone to have writers, because I think when you get to a level, like, I mean, you obviously, when you did Update, people wrote jokes for you, but if you're a guy that's got that defined a voice, I mean, it's a gift, and if people can actually write for you, then it's like a beautiful thing.
It's pretty kind of easy to write for some. Like, I noticed in sitcoms, which I have no fucking idea, I don't even like them, but I worked on them.
Well, you were on one. Well, you did one for 3 seasons, right? You had to run. What was it called again?
Norm Show.
So it went down with your name on it.
Yeah, that's the bad thing. But no, I didn't know anything. I didn't want to be in it. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Well,
the only thing I said is, well, Seinfeld has a sitcom. I think I can act as good as Jerry Seinfeld.
That's how you got it?
And he had the biggest sitcom in the world.
Yeah.
And I go, because I never thought, I mean, I can't act, but I surrounded myself with actors, and it was okay. But man, when I started writing sitcoms, because when you come from stand-up, where the fucking joke has to be good, I wrote on Roseanne. And I remember, I'd look at the script, I go, holy fucking, whole thing's gonna bomb. Yeah. Everybody's gonna be booing.
The jokes were so bad.
The jokes were so shit. Because, a stand-up, it's so fucking hard to get a joke together.
Yeah.
And they're going, nah, it'll work. And then, of course, it works because they lather up the audience.
And they love those characters.
And they love the characters.
Yeah.
And that's also the thing about people that can create a sitcom. They create characters and everything like that.
Yeah.
Then you can go on and write. It's very easy to write characters that are already written.
I think sitcoms are all about the relationships between the characters. People gravitate towards the emotional dynamic of an ensemble, and it's not. It got nothing to do with jokes. After a certain point.
Like you watch The Honeymooners, they got no jokes at all.
No, you just love those.
Couple of fat jokes.
Yeah,
but other than that,
you just want to see Art Carney and Jackie Gleason. Yeah.
But I remember on my show, I go, can't we think up some fucking situations? Like, it's supposed to be a situation comedy.
Yeah.
And the situation you're coming up with is I'm dating a girl. That's the funny situation. Because I said I remember fucking reading, like, you could read a thing of The Honeymooners and fucking be smiling. You go, Ralph thinks he's a millionaire. You go, fuck, this is gonna be funny. But then it's like on Friends, it's like, Jennifer thinks she might have feelings for Matt. That's what the fuck is funny about that.
Yeah. So okay, so what happened to the sports show? Did that hit you pretty hard?
No.
I'm sorry. I tried to structure a question in a sensitive way.
It didn't hit me hard.
It didn't? No. What?
Because I never expect success. I mean,
you don't?
No, never. No.
Just, but you can always go back to stand up. And
that's my luck.
But you were out of that. Did you stop for a while doing stand up?
No, I always did it. I mean, I did less of it, but I would always. Because especially when you're doing shit that you don't like, it's good to go on the road and
because you have complete control of that thing.
Yeah, and you can be funny.
Yeah,
and
it's all on your terms, and you live or die by what.
Because it is a very odd experience to be being not funny in front of a crowd that is laughing hard at your fucking not funny shit. Which is sitcoms.
You feel that?
Holy fuck, man! It's like you're in a fucking nightmare. You're like, what is going on here? Like, that wasn't funny. And they just wait till you stop talking. Yeah. And then they laugh. Because they're participants, these fucking audiences.
Yeah, they're doing their part.
They're doing their part, right. And that's what I loved about Saturday Night Live, is things could bomb. Like, really, only Saturday Night Live and the early Letterman, you could see people fucking bomb.
Oh yeah, no laughs.
And there's no other place on TV. Every other place, every joke works.
It's an amazing moment. Even when you watch old Dick Cavett shows, and that was a popular show, and if you watch him now, the audience almost does nothing. Yeah, he'll get a joke off, and he's like, nothing. And you're like, oh my God. Right. Because people didn't have the same expectations that they do now. These fucking people who run who run TV made it like this.
Right.
That, there's something about, you can be funny without there being a ridiculous moronic joke every fucking 30 seconds. You know, people can accept people just being people for a minute.
Sure.
There's that horrible
fear. I wish talk shows would, maybe you can do it or something, but the, you know, Carson, you'd never see the audience.
No, you never see the audience?
Now
and he listened to
now
people?
Now the audiences.
Oh, yeah, they're out touching the audience. Yeah. I mean, that was the first thing that I noticed about Jay, and I've never done a show, and I got no beef with him. I just don't watch the show. But all of a sudden, he's out there touching people, and I'm like, what's he doing?
It's bizarre.
Wait, is this a zoo?
It's funny, because Letterman and Leno do that, and really the guy who...
Letterman doesn't touch him.
Well, but I mean, they're there. They're like, he's... You know what I mean?
That's a theater. It feels like a real thing.
It is, but it's not completely separate like on late night.
Right.
Where
they're up in a little pen, on
exactly.
the old Conan show.
Exactly.
Where's the audience? They're up there in the pen, 6 feet up, and they're just sitting back there in a box.
And just talking about it now, I think probably the guy who changed it and did it the best was fucking Arsenio. He was the real guy that could.
I guarantee you that's the only time this is being said in this country right now.
No, but Leno was like so uncomfortable slapping people's hands.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. This guy was the genius at doing the monologue that were, I don't even remember jokes. I think he'd just do topics.
Yeah, he would just talk.
He was not say anything.
He was not about saving a moment. You know?
But the audience, I mean, the audience in that show was so so part of the show, you know.
So now, what happened with the sports show?
Oh, I don't know. It was just it was on Comedy Central, and I
watched it. It was funny, and I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah, it was all right.
But you're funny.
It was that's nice, Mark.
Yeah.
It was because I think it was. I don't know. I don't really give a fuck, but it was.
You really don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck about it too much.
Okay.
But it's funny because people think I should. Like when I got fired from, I still get asked about SNL. Thanks for not asking me about it. I don't know why now I just brought it up. But when I got fired from SNL, people still ask me, like, fuck, don't you hate that guy? I go, I don't fucking, what? No, he didn't think I was funny. I get it. I understand.
And also, there's so much politics involved in that bullshit. I got actually a weird question, and I don't know if you can answer it for me, but I'm obsessed with it, and I discuss it with people that have been on SNL, but you come into it specifically. Before you got fired, there was a point there where you were negotiating, and you might not go back to the show, correct?
No.
There wasn't ever a point where you were sort of like, not deciding whether or not you were going to renew your contract?
No, me? No.
Oh.
Why?
Well, no, because they brought me in. I met with Lauren. I did the whole, I jumped.
What?
I jumped through all the hoops.
Really? I was the.
You were the guy, but what I understood later, I didn't get it, obviously. Yeah. And it went nowhere.
You would have been good.
Right, but someone came up to me, a fucking writer, who I don't remember his name, but he had written, he was on the beat back then. I can't remember his name. But after I went through all that, he came up to me and said, yeah, they were just trying to pressure Norm. Oh,
no, that's not true.
Oh, good.
Because I told Lauren at one point I'd do it forever. I said, what if I was like Walter Cronkite? I won't ask for much money. I'll just I'll do it till I'm 65. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
But, no, that couldn't have been it, but it could have been, it was probably, they were getting ready to get rid of me because they always pretended it was Don Ohlmeyer, but I don't think that's true.
You just think it was in-house?
I think it was everybody. Because it was a particular thing where we had a lot of autonomy on Update.
Well, and they tried to tie it to OJ and everything else.
Yeah, they did that, but I don't believe it.
And what do you think? Well, so you just think it was a business decision?
I think it was that we had a lot of autonomy on Update, which didn't make the other people feel very happy.
It was like the news division.
It was like
in
that.
network.
Yeah,
don't touch my news division.
Right. Yeah. It was like that. And we had Jim Downey. It was me and Jim was very. Lauren was a little like rightfully. Respective of Jim and kind of let Jim on his own. So anyways, I think the whole show is tired of me not taking marching orders.
Oh, really?
I think so. Like Lauren hints at things. Like he would go like, I don't know if you really, because I do Michael Jackson jokes or something, because I don't really know if you want Michael Jackson you want a lawsuit by Michael Jackson.
Oh, he's suggesting. Passive
and then I go, that's cool. I like a retard. I'm just answering his question. I go, that'd be fucking cool. Michael Jackson suing me and I'm in court with him and shit. Then he's like, well, I would never get his stuff till later, and then I go, oh yeah, that's a.
So he would say basically in a slightly passive aggressive way, maybe you shouldn't do that.
You would, and I'm such a retard that passive aggression does not work on me. I need aggression.
What's that an innuendo thing you have a problem with? It's like, can't you just say, don't do that?
I seriously, I keep missing it.
Yeah.
And I wish the guy would just go, don't do it, and then I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? But he says, he suggests things, and I go, okay, fuck it.
That's hilarious. So are you working on something now?
I mostly do stand-up. I mean, there's always like
You're not hosting the poker thing anymore?
Retarded thing. Oh, the poker. No, I do. I don't know. Poker is illegal now, so I'm not sure.
It's illegal?
They shut down all the sites, so
how you doing with that thing?
the
gambling thing.
Ah, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Gambling is I don't know, I kind of like I went broke like a few times when I actually had lots of money.
Gambling.
3 times.
Gambling.
With gambling, yeah. And I mean broke, dead broke. Like
so would you call yourself a degenerate gambler?
Well, I don't. Degenerate has a epathetic
negative connotation.
Yeah, but certainly compulsive.
Yeah,
but I don't know what it was. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I do know this: when I would go broke, because they say gamblers want to lose and stuff, which always seemed odd to me. But I will say the 3 times that I went broke for a lot of money, I had a very freeing feeling. I would go to the coffee shop and have a coffee and have nothing. And a lot of me is trying to get the fuck as ascetic as I can in my life.
Oh, really? So it was a Zen thing? This was like you would recommend, if you wrote a book on Zen, it would be like, go out, make a bunch of stupid bets, lose everything, and enjoy.
Zen and the art of being a retard. But I not because it would bring me peace of mind or anything, but because I bought a house for the first time ever. Yeah. And it was like I was walling myself into a fucking mausoleum or something. All of a sudden I'm like,
when you had money.
Fuck. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I don't want a bunch of stuff to have to fucking, mostly because I'm lazy, I guess. I don't want to have a fucking footstool because then I have to clean it. I don't know.
Right. I feel the same way. Well, it's exhausting because there's no end to you become tethered to it and you worry about it. Yeah. You got a house. It's like, who's going to fix that light? Right. Do I got to call a guy? Do I got to hire a guy to call the guy?
And I'm sure and I know guys, because we're not rich, but we know rich guys. Yeah. That have fucking massive houses and shit, and you go, fuck, it seems like a nightmare.
Well, you know what I realized? I just realized it 2 days ago. I got a 2-bedroom house here, and if you notice when you went to pee, that second bedroom just got a bed and my girlfriend shitting it all over the floor, and the fact that there's nothing in there every day, it's like a curse. I walk by that room and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that room. Like I'm worried. I think that my entire house, I found a little termite damage. It looked like 50 years old. I'm like, is there even wood underneath this stucco, or is there just sort of like brittle? I don't know what's. Anyways,
do you rent?
No, I own this fucking this place.
I think if you rent, you can move. I think that's
great of course. But I bought a house. Like I bought this thing.
Everybody told me to buy.
Right, I bought it. It was built in 1924, and you're like, but that's nice. Is it? I don't know. Like the floor's not insulated. It's a fucking oven in there when it's hot, and when it's cold, I feel like I'm living in a refrigerator. I just had a rat die under my house for 3 days, but that's the kind of person I am. Like the rat's sitting under there dead. I know there's a dead thing under there, but I don't want to fucking crawl under there and get this dead thing. So I'm like, I'll write it out. How long could it take for it to completely decompose? I can live in this shitty smell. And then eventually I call my gardener and I'm like, do you know a guy? They say, oh, I'll do it. And I'm like, oh my God. And, for $50, he climbs under there. He pulls his fucking rat out. And I'm like, it takes 60. I don't know. Like, I'm a sport. Here's $10 more for taking 20 minutes to do something I'm too much of a pussy to do. But what I realized 2 days ago is that if you're making $20 million a year, to pay a guy $100,000 to watch your cars is nothing. To pay a guy $60,000 a year to cook every fucking meal for you and spoon feed it, which they'll do for $60,000, is meaningless. So I think it's really about that. It's like, but I don't have a mind that works like that. I want to be I want to do it all myself. I'll hire a Mexican guy to go under my house. Sure. But I'll feel bad about it. I gave him some water. But if you have enough money to not give a shit and just pay people to wipe your ass for you, that you've earned it. I guess that's your big payoff. But for you, I don't know that you could live with that.
No, I that wouldn't be fun for me.
What was the biggest bet you ever made?
Oh God Almighty! I don't know. I one time, the most I lost in one night, because 3 times I've lost everything that I've ever had.
How do you do that? I mean, not morally, but I mean, like, how do you
physically do it?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, you know, you make one more. Like, what is the process of that? What's the evolution?
It's funny because it's the only time I ever went to a psychiatrist, he said, like, I was like, because it was for gambling. I was like, how the fuck do I get out of this? And he's like, oh, you gamble to avoid life, you know. And I'm like, but my thing was, well, isn't that why you do everything in life, is to fucking avoid it? You know what I mean? Like,
it's too painful.
Yeah. Like, why do you? So I said, but it's painful to think about, but because now it would be nice to have the money, but you just lose it by it's just like any escape, I guess. Because I was never a drug or alcohol guy, but like when I watch a game and I have a bunch of money on it, then I can understand what's going on. Nothing's ambivalent or anything about it, you know.
And there's stakes.
There's stakes. You know exactly the rules.
Yeah.
You're completely involved, and you're completely escaped from your life.
Yeah.
Of the real. Yeah. The real fear. You know, I'd rather fear losing money on a football game than ruminate all fucking night about my upcoming
show,
illness, and
yeah,
death.
Oh, that, yeah.
No, not my show.
No,
my biggest problem is ruminating about death. If I could get over that somehow.
And you do that regularly?
I read fucking books about it and shit. Have you read that Becker book?
Denial of Death.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's my favorite book in the world.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I have both. I have all his books. I'm getting his newsletter. And he's dead.
He's dead.
The Becker Foundation.
It's helped me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea of that is the transference thing, that you to feel part of something bigger than yourself to define your life, and you can do with that what you want. I mean, it's better if it's God than gambling, I think, in some.
God is the best.
Yeah.
So I mean, I that's what I'm trying to get to, is God.
Well, let's get to God piecemeal. So, like, you still haven't walked me through losing everything.
Well, how you do it? Physically?
Yeah, because you've got a house, you had a lot of money saved up, and then like, so you make one bet, and then you realize you're about to lose everything. Do you make phone calls to people saying, like, I just need a little more? I mean,
well, you kind of at the end of it, it's happening. I guess it's like I've never had substance abuse problems, but I guess it's like people that know they're going to hit bottom,
mm-hmm.
And kind of want it.
Yeah,
because it does it's exhausting.
Yeah.
To be obsessed with something.
Right.
So you are, I guess, trying to do it, trying to finish it off.
Right.
Finally. Because if you have $450,000 in the bank, whatever the fuck it was, and then you lose $400,000, you go, fuck it, I don't want to fucking have $50,000.
Right.
To remind me that I don't want money to remind me that I had more money.
So that's how you do it.
So that's how you do it. Yeah.
And you did that 3 times.
3 times in my life, yeah.
And how long have you been off it?
I've been off it like probably 5 years or so.
Yeah, and you're trying to get some spirituality in your life? I'm
trying to, because the only real joy I get, other than I love watching comedy, but anything deeper than that is I read a lot of literature and stuff. I'm not educated, like I never had any schooling, and I don't read nonfiction much, but I read lots of literature. And
like who?
Tolstoy.
Oh yeah.
Faulkner. But the faith keeps coming up, and I'm like, these motherfuckers are smart.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was always like, Pryor's this fucking most deep, profound guy I ever fucking heard, from my limited perspective. Then all of a sudden I'm reading books, I'm like, holy fuck, this guy knows everything. Like I was reading Tolstoy, I was like, fuck, one word, one sentence, this guy. And so, but then I was like, why are all these guys, it all comes down to faith, it seems to every fucking great novel I read, it seems like faith is the only salvation.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know how to get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't know how to just suddenly believe
or surrender.
I don't know how to do that. I'm too stupid or proud or pretend I'm smart or whatever.
Or afraid.
Probably afraid. Yeah. To surrender. It's hard.
It's like this equation that your brain has to do where you realize that you have very little control over anything. That moment where you realize, like, just about all of it is out of my control.
Yeah.
And there's only two things you can do in that moment, which is either I'm fucked or it's okay. And how you support it's okay is with some kind of faith.
I guess, yeah. I because I've come to it a long time ago that I have no control over anything, but I've been struggling with faith. I'll just throw myself into religion sometimes, but the problems with that is then you get into churches and stuff, and then you get into men and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And then you go, oh, it's very easy to fall into the trap of going like, religion's bad. I mean, God's bad because this fucking priest fucked a kid, which is retarded. You know what I mean? Why does that make God bad? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It just means the people that represent him
are
questionable.
So so then if you go into any church, obviously it's led by fallible men, and you can't believe in them. So you got to kind of come to it yourself somehow. But I don't have the answer of how you do that or anything.
Where are you at with it now?
I don't know. The only thing I've ever explored is Christianity.
And that kind
of... I liked it.
Yeah.
But it's just extremely hard to keep believing. It's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Because it's the hardest thing to believe, and I think I'm not deep enough.
I don't know if that's true. I think that, just by nature of the fact that you're a comedian, and that part of the way you understand things is by cutting through bullshit, with jokes. I mean, especially you. I mean, you cut through bullshit. I mean, you call bullshit on just about anything, very concisely and in a very funny way, that when you're sitting here trying to sort of like you stay in a place of faith into the sort of the Jesus thing and and whatever you're choosing to hang that faith on, there's going to be part of you that thinks like, that's just bullshit.
There is, yeah. Especially when it's specific like that. Yeah. But then I don't want to be a fucking idiot that goes like, sometimes you meet people, they're like, I'm spiritual. You're like, what? Yeah. They're like, I have my own thing. Yeah. I'm like, you work at Burger King, you figured out a fucking whole thing by yourself?
Yeah, well, they've got their own thing that enables them to work at Burger King without hanging themselves. That's a pretty powerful guy.
I don't want to... I'm not going to, certainly if I'm not going to accept Christianity, I'm not going to accept some fucking 17-year-old girl's fucking idea.
Well, maybe you should just get a job at Burger King. Maybe the humility of that will shed a little light. It's like, because it's exactly the same feeling I think you probably had when you had to deal with the blind guy. That, there's something, outside of you. There's bigger struggles that are had by many people, and they seem to survive.
I've actually thought about working with blind people because I look back on that time, and it was the first time you really look outside yourself. It's pretty incredible, the things that you observe. Even as a writer or anything, I think it would be incredibly important.
Well, I think that's important for like a spiritual thing too, is to not think about yourself first.
Yeah, I think most spiritual people, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people go, that's the way to find it, is to look inside yourself. But I think you're right. I think it's not. It's to look outside.
It's to try to get past your ego.
Yeah.
To get that thing hammered down to almost nothing, to where you actually think about the better of somebody else over yourself.
Yeah.
And that's
holy fuck, I would never be able to do that.
Right. Well, that's very contrary to, like, there's this other whole movement now, the positive thinking people.
Oh, yeah.
All you gotta do is throw that switch, man. Everything's okay. Hey, don't be negative. I fucking can't deal with that shit.
But you can see in acting or in comedy that works.
I know.
Like the person that goes, hey man, I'm cool, everything's gonna be good, and it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, it's horrendous. But is it really? I mean, just because you're denying your flaws and everything else, I mean, you can sort of fake it till you make it, or there's a lot of slogans, act as if, whatever it is, but still, it's like, they say that eventually this will just kick in earnest. Yeah, until one day you're like, it's not kicking in, and this is fucked up, and you guys misled me, and fuck all of you.
Right.
The truth is, it's dark and horrible, and we die alone. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. The what is it called?
Act as if.
Act as if. I guess I understand what that would mean. Yeah.
Sure.
But act as if. Yeah. But all these books and all these things, the bowel cancer hasn't read the book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They don't read anything. They're fucking cancers.
No.
Yeah, I whenever someone when people start talking about organs, I fucking check out. I mean, I can handle a lot of dark shit. I can fill my head with stuff. But when people start saying like I had kidney failure, I'm like, oh god,
oh no,
nothing.
Yeah. That's why those the scariest movies always to me were the Cronenberg movies. There's always the inside. Biological.
I was thinking about The Fly recently. Yeah. With that moment where it's like he's climbing up the wall and he's like, pretty weird, huh?
Yeah.
You're like, oh god.
No,
and then when he breaks apart and there's a giant fly inside of him, can we turn this around somehow to end this thing?
It's like my act when I do my act.
Yeah.
I never think of a fucking ending.
Yeah. Just trickle off.
Just fucking.
Me too.
Just unravel.
I guess this is. We good? You done?
It's terrible.
You guys feel okay with what happened here?
Every week I go, why didn't I think of something?
Do you do that thing where you look? It's like, okay, I've done an hour and 15. And I don't know that how it's structured really matters. I'm done.
That's what I'm like. And then I know people are kind of silent. They're like, "Where's the big
What's the matter
ending?
with him?" Well, I'm glad you're doing okay, man. I really.
Oh yeah, well I'm glad you are, man. This is awesome. This is so.
Sorry, it's so hot.
It's so cool. It is hot, but it's cool. You got this thing that's your own, and you don't have to listen to.
Yeah, no one can really tell me what to do except bad Mark.
I talked to Bob Costas, and. He does. You're not a sports fan, but
I like him. He's all right.
He's great, but he does baseball. These fucking baseball guys know everything. And it was after I got fired and shit. And he said, "Oh fuck," he goes, "I know how it is." He goes, "I got people in my ear, these producers telling me." And I'm like, "You do?" Like he calls baseball games. Even he's got fucking guys like they say this,
Really?
Yeah, he says people are saying in his ears, and he's like, it's always nonsense shit,
Yeah.
So it's nice that you have a place where a guy doesn't go, "Hey."
Yeah,
ask him this.
No, I'm very grateful that it's working out, and I love doing it. But I do have a guy within me that says, "I got the other shoe's going to drop, dude."
Oh well,
you're
that's
fuck
of course. Yeah, but something is going to happen.
Thanks,
that's
Norm.
the bad part.
All right, let's leave it there.
Okay, love you, buddy.
Love you too, man. Oh my God, what a great conversation. Completely surprised. You guys? Norm Macdonald. Sweet, thoughtful, reflective. I had no idea. I loved that conversation. I really did. Oh man, that was fun. Great guy. Anyways, that's our show. I am Marc Maron. Why am I doing that now? I already do that at the beginning. Hey, look, go to WTFpod.com. Please get on the mailing list. If you want to kick in a donation, we got shirts. If you do the $10 a month thing, you get a shirt, you get some stickers, you get my unconditional love. If you do the $250, one-time donation, you'll get 3 CDs, a couple of shirts, some stickers, my double unconditional love. But you can also just go to WTFpod.com. We got new videos. You got links to the YouTube page that we got now. You can see the entire episode catalog. You can get the app for Droid, iPad, iPod Touch, or the other thing. The apps. You can get that stuff. You can get a link to justcoffee.coop. You can read the blog. You can leave comments. WTFpod.com. I am fucking sweating right now. I'm sweating in my garage. Jesus Christ.